Hey, friends, I am here, Coach Angie, with you again for the break room. And if it's your first time getting to join us or watch later, the break room is a weekly live that I like to do and just discuss one thing, one principle, one concept. And today, the thing that we're discussing is in the area of self management. But the question that we're going to tackle is if you could only do three things this week that would move the dial, move the needle for you, what would those three things be? Now, the idea here is this competition between, we'll just say it's a competition, what should get done and what is on the list. Okay. So it's the vital few versus the indispensable or dispensable many. I say indispensable because that's how we look at our list sometimes. We look at the things that we have to do, whether it is an actual written list or just something that we keep in our head or just things that we build as we go. There are lists that we build, especially as high performers, where everything is important. And the idea behind this concept, of, I know you're probably sitting back at that question of how dare I ask you to only choose three things that you actually have to do, that you will do. And those three things will be the things that move the needle for you and forward this week. Okay. It's a challenge. I get that. It's definitely a challenge, but I want to push you in that area because yes, even in the world of the high performing leader, you can drill down to these three things. And here's why. Okay. So there's a concept called the Pareto principle. And it states that 80% of the results that we get come from 20% of our input and efforts. Okay. Now, that should be a little bit of incentive or motivation to tackle this whole idea of drilling down and choosing a few things to really invest your time and energy to this week and also each week. Okay. So 80% of our results that we come up with and that we land on come from 20% of our inputs and efforts. Now, we all know that we live our lives giving much more than 20%. We expend way more than 20% of our time, energy, efforts, right? So, what is that saying? It's really saying that we need to choose because there's some things that we're choosing to do and invest our time in that are not feeding the ultimate uh, results that we're looking for. Okay. So, what does that require from us? Well, that's going to mean that we're going to have to let some things go or put them in a different category than we're used to having them. It's the courage to um, kind of step into this difficulty of the principle, which is naming something or identifying something as dispensable or as maybe even small, right? Because if these three things or whatever that number is, the vital few that you're choosing, if those are the priority and those are the big ones, then by the opposite, the other things would be small. And now I know that's hard for us to hear, and especially for leaders that lead at a high capacity. Everything is big, right? Everything is a priority, and we will tell ourselves that, and we will tell others that when they're asking us a question about what we're juggling around, right? But the idea here is that there are items and tasks and projects that we're going to need to identify as dispensable. And I know that sounds crazy because I'm using that word that makes it seem like I'm saying completely get rid of it. There's more to this conversation, okay? um and I'll round that out. But the what we want to do and the main goal here is to step into this idea that we should be protecting the 80% results by carefully selecting our 20% inputs, okay? And our efforts, our 20% of inputs and efforts. There's an author who wrote a book. His name is Cal Newport, and the book is called Deep Work. I forget the subtitle right now. But what he talks about is we all have deep work hours that we have in any given workday. And we all have the same limited amount, anywhere from 1 to 4 deep work hours that we really get the bulk of the things done that we are setting out to do. And it's the potential. That's our 1 to 4 hours is our potential for deep work in any given day. Okay. Anything done outside of those deep work hours, he attests that it is work that is having less of us, right? It's not having as much of our effort. It doesn't get as much as I use the term sometimes dirty gas. It's still gas in the tank, but it's not performing as well. Okay. Um, and so what we want to say to ourselves and to challenge ourselves in is that we want to protect those deep work hours by number one, planning for them by choosing the vital few. And then two, by not letting other things distract us from what we want to get done with our deep work hours. And we will continue to work in those other hours. I'm not telling you to go to work for 1 to 4 hours. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a deep work and the things that are prioritized for us, the big hitters, should receive our energy and our time in the depth that comes with the deep work hours. Okay. So we want to guard against those distractions and we want to guard against like complete hijacking because sometimes it's literally hijacked and you look up, it's the end of the day and you started on a deep work item, but then you find out later that you've been doing these other things that are still things that might need to be done, but they may not need to be done in this timing. And well, now rounding back to what I was talking about earlier, when I say we can let things go, I mean, sometimes that means we're delegating, we're putting that assignment somewhere else. Sometimes that does mean when we get through looking and scraping through that we are genuinely letting something go because when we are prioritizing accordingly, that thing may not need to be addressed at all in this season. It may be something that you're going to hit next quarter or even next year. We never know. Our minds work in so many ways, and there's things that come up for us. And I do believe a lot of decisions that we make sometimes, according when we're working with our list, those decisions are made based out of fear of forgetting to round back or, it feels like a hot topic, hot moment. So we want to really capture it right then and there and not lose what we feel is like a momentum while that energy is there for us to, because our brain's already thinking of it, right? But we want to trust ourselves enough to be able to come back around. Maybe it's you are developing a notes system that lets you capture the thing that got you extra motivated to want to tackle it today. Or maybe you are just reassessing in that moment. Because sometimes the way that things are presented to us or the way that it comes to us gives us the impression that it's something that it has to be handled immediately. But when we step back and come back to it again, we realize, wait a second, I actually do have this other list, this other few items that truly outweigh and outpace this item that has come to us today. Sometimes that item coming up to us today, maybe it's excitement for that item or task or project that causes us to want to prioritize it up, all kinds of different reasons. But again, the challenge is to be to look at what we're doing and be able to understand why these things are the vital few. And if you have a list and you don't see or know what the vital few are, then this is a challenge to you to make that happen, right? And then make that a consistent practice. So, your homework this week is to look at your list. If it's not written down, go through your list in your brain, but I suggest you write it down somewhere, maybe digitally. Um, and circle your vital 3, and then take the time to delegate or defer everything else that's on the list and see how that goes for this week. And don't forget to come back and tell me about it. All right? I look forward to hearing how these principles or ideas and things that we're discussing may benefit you in your daily travels with your job or with your company or with your team. All right, guys, great to see you. And we will see you next week in the break room. Check you later.